Hello, my name is Carly Bernardi. I'm here to talk about my amazing store manager, Becky Gill. Becky's been a partner with Starbucks for a few years now, but within the past few months, she moved really quickly from shift supervisor to assistant manager to store manager, and then finally opening and managing her own brand new store in Brooklyn. So my main purpose when I was having the interview was basically to figure out how this quick transition affected her communication and her relationships with the partners at her current store. As you know, moving up in management often has a huge effect on the partners' interactions with the manager. I also wanted to dissect her leading styles and just see, what types she used to help create the happy and supportive atmosphere that exists at the store today. I wanted to understand better, what steps she kind of had to take and what dialogue she had even, internally to become the great and supportive leader that she is now. I first began by questioning her on the dynamic that was kind of created after she was promoted from a shift supervisor to an assistant manager. She talked a lot about how she had trouble managing her newfound power, and that she found that partners were less receptive to her than before, but she couldn't really understand why that was. After reading a little bit more and listening to her, I think that it had to do with the fact that with her new position, it gave her partners a new view of her, even though she felt like she was the same type of leader. There was a switch in power. She felt that shift while she was brought to our store as a transfer from California, and she was respected by the partners almost instantly based on of her expert and referent power, just her pure knowledge and willingness to work. Basically, the partners saw how hard she worked and how capable she was within a week of being at our store. So now, in her new position as a store assistant store manager, and a newer one coming on quicker than the first, she felt as though the power was given to her by legitimate power. It was not something that was necessarily the partners willingly, gave into or willingly wanted to listen to her. And it was only because she held the position of authority. She pretty quickly realized that she was going to need to change, her leadership and her communication styles in order to be an effective assistant manager and sooner a future store manager. So within weeks of becoming an assistant manager, she was promoted to a store manager, and then about less than a month later, she was opening and running a brand new store. And she attempted to use these experience she had in her home store as a guide to address the partners in her new store. And while she thought that she was doing really good at being able to put her foot down and sticking to her guns, she realized that she was quite loose with the partners. She was kind of teetering between a democratic and laissez-faire communication styles with them. So they were constantly switching between being awesome and between being, more lazy and getting away with whatever they could. So she knew that she had to make that change, but she also did not do very well with scolding or holding people accountable at the time. So because it was something that she never really had to do as a shift supervisor, and now she was suddenly having to do a lot of. That was her main, daily things, were making sure the tasks were being done and being done properly. So within her new store, she learned a lot about how to communicate in such a way that the partners would understand. She made a lot of effort to check on the partner's knowledge and not just, say, read this and then go about your business. She would come and quiz them and test them and make sure that she's doing it, they're doing it right. Her biggest challenge was to get the new partners to understand the importance of our routines and our standards that exist within our company, and to ensure that everyone had them perfected. She would take them out. She would take time out of her busy schedule and work with them one-on-one. She would walk with them through each step and then watch as they did it, for themselves. And then she could give feedback based on those actions. She has now created amazingly open teams. Like, the communication in the store is basically an entire 360 of what it used to be. And the team is now able, especially the new partners, are now able to realize how much we actually rely on one another, and how much our knowledge affects the next person, the person working with us. But she was also able to create a trusting bond between the new partners and the old ones, which was something that we faced a lot of. The newer partners were getting defensive about their style of work when the older, more seasoned partners would try and correct them. Because as well as working with the partners one-on-one, she kind of set up a mentoring program where together a seasoned partner and a new partner would go over the routines, and just not only that, but the importance of the routines and what they mean as far as creating a universal experience for the customer and how important they are to our company as a whole. And since opening, each week our sales have increased, and she has increased our sales goals because of it. She's a driving factor in our team's performance, because we all want to basically do well for her, and we want to see her succeed and in turn see us succeed and our store succeed. She changed she's also done a really good job at being able to adjust and her leadership styles as needed by the partners in the situations. She realizes that there are times when she can be a little more hands-off with certain people or certain instances, but then other times require a lot more dedication and care. By the end of the interview, it was pretty clear to see that her awareness was her best quality she could have. She was able to realize her strengths and weaknesses and kind of work backwards and fix them from there. She was able to see that she had been too lenient with the partners and was getting them away with stuff for too long. But more importantly, she was able to alter her communication styles. Instead of, leaning more towards a laissez-faire style of communication, she was able to switch that and become more democratic, in that she was giving them the tools and the information that they needed to really, make those sound decisions and function properly. And from this, she was able to communicate like a leader. She would no longer put the fear of not being liked, and she was able to put that to the side and fully support her staff and create an awesomely and successful store.